What's going on, YouTube? I'm Joe, and today I'm here to do something a little bit different this time. Rather than have anybody who's been watching my movie reviews sitting through a void of no videos for a good month or so, because not a whole lot's coming out this month that I'm really interested in seeing, I decided to talk about all the installments in the Marvel Cinematic Universe leading up to Avengers Age of Ultron pretty soon. I'm really excited to see that. That's one of my most anticipated of 2015. I mean, I don't need to watch any more of the trailers. I'm sold. I'm gonna go see it. But I thought I'd take a trip down memory lane and talk about each installment in the Marvel franchise up until Guardians of the Galaxy last year. Give you my general thoughts on each movie, and this is going to be a part 1 review. I'm going to be talking about all the flicks in Phase 1, and then there'll be another video talking about Phase 2. So, let me give you a brief history on my relationship with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. First of all, I'm not a really big comic book guy. I like to read some comics, but I'm not really familiar with Iron Man's comic book history, or Captain America, or Thor, Loki, Winter Soldier. You get the idea. It's basically just a general knowledge from what I've seen in the movies. I'm a movie person. I love movies. I like independent art house films, but I also like the big budget action films, if they're done right. And this set of movies has been, for the most part, very consistent. I've had a lot of fun watching these over the years. And here's a little fun fact. In 2008, when the first Iron Man came out, and the second Iron Man came out, and then Thor and Captain America, I had no idea they were in the same universe until I saw the previews for the first Avengers movie. It shows you where exactly my head was at that point. But I consider myself a fan of this franchise. I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't like all of their movies, but for the most part, I've had a lot of fun with this. I'm going to let you know right off the bat, my favorite Avenger is Captain America. So I don't know a whole ton of the history involving these characters, but I can tell you that I know enough to consider myself a fan. But let's start at the beginning, back in 2008. Jesus, 2008, has it been that long? Good God. The first Iron Man movie by Jon Favreau, starring the one and only Robert Downey Jr. I also apologize for the glare off of this Blu-ray cover. I don't have the best lighting, so just bear with me. First Iron Man movie. I remember seeing the previews for this film back in 2008, and I thought it looked kind of generic and kind of whatever. I knew who Iron Man was before then, but I didn't really know a whole lot about him. I didn't go see this in the theater. I don't know why I didn't. When I saw this on DVD, and I thought, oh, yeah, that was cool. And then I watched it on Blu-ray when I picked this Blu-ray up. And I watched it even more, and I just thought, oh, wow. This movie's actually really good. This movie was a really big surprise for a lot of moviegoers and comic book fans. The origin story's done really well. It's also very different in a lot of ways. You don't really see the common traditions that you would see in a superhero movie, and as far as an origin goes. There are some similarities, however. Tony Stark has something bad happen to him, or it causes him to go through a change to become a better person. Being kind of an asshole, but a likable asshole, becomes more heroic and more caring of other people by the end, even though he did care about people, mostly due to his relationship with Pepper Potts. Oh, Robert Downey Jr., he is perfect. He is perfect as Iron Man and Tony Stark. I know there's a huge difference between him and his comic book counterpart, but personally, I really don't give a crap. He kills it as Iron Man. The action scenes are really cool, especially the scene where he finally puts on the Iron Man suit and he goes to that small village where his weapons are being used, and it's the same village where Yinsen used to live. Yinsen was the man who helped him in the cave build the Iron Man suit and helped him escape. And also Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, excellent. And the score is really good. The action scenes, like I said, are excellent. Everything about Iron Man worked. And I also liked how he flat out says, I am Iron Man, which, like I said, is very different from what you see in the first installment of a superhero movie. And that post-credit scene, I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative. I can imagine a lot of fans just exploded when they saw that. Now, next we have something that's considered to be very debatable by a lot of fans of this franchise, Iron Man 2. Now, I did see this in the theater, and I thought it was good at the time, but there was something about it as I was watching it. I was going, something's not right here. It feels like something's deflated about the whole thing. I don't know, it just felt like there wasn't so much energy put into this. And I know that it's come out that Jon Favreau has said that Marvel micromanaged him a lot of the time and gave him all these mandates and whatnot, and it definitely shows. The writing is very clunky, the pacing is very cluttered, and you've heard it all before. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's okay. A good movie at times. Nothing really special though, but like I said, there are some good parts to it. The actors all once again do a good job, even though Tony Stark gets on my nerves in here, and it feels like he's taken a step backward in a lot of ways. It's not Robert Downey Jr.'s fault, but that's basically the writing's fault. Oh, and I also forgot to mention the character, James Rhodey. Terrence Howard in the first film I thought was really good, and I liked Don Cheadle, though I found it kind of distracting that they recasted him in between. I mean, I know Terrence Howard had a lot of problems with the studio in between. I do like Don Cheadle, but I do wish that Terrence Howard stuck around for the next few installments. So yeah, Iron Man 2, not the best movie ever, but I don't think it's that bad. This film, I like it. Another! Thor. The first Thor. This movie's a lot of fun. I'm not really well versed in the character of Thor, like I've said before. That just rhymed. Getting off topic. It's not like the best film in the franchise yet. I mean, I think it's still the best one out of the Thor series. The second one, we'll get to that in the part 2 review. But it's a lot of fun. The scope feels really big and it's really cool. Chris Hemsworth, like Robert Downey Jr., he's perfect as Thor. I can't really see anybody else playing him. And Natalie Portman, I always like Natalie Portman. I like her more in this movie than I did in the second one. I'll get to that later. Anthony Hopkins is excellent as Odin. Tom Hiddleston as Loki, he's the man. He is the man. He is awesome. One of the best villains ever put into a comic book movie, hands down. And I also like the character arc that Thor goes through. Starting out that he's very arrogant and pretty stupid, and he basically starts a war between Asgard and the Frost Giants. But then once he's banished to Earth by his father Odin, he starts to see the effect of his arrogance, and thanks to Jane Foster, Natalie Portman's character, he becomes a better person. Back to Loki, it was really interesting to see his backstory. It's a really interesting backstory that Loki has, considering that he is the son of one of the Frost Giants, and how he feels alienated since he is adopted essentially, and he feels like he has to prove that he's better than everybody else, considering that Thor got all the attention. And Kat Dennings, I know a lot of people had problems with her. I didn't mind her, really. I thought she did fine. It's a fun movie. I really like it. I consider it an honorable mention when I listed in favorite comic book movies of all time. Not the best one, but it's definitely one of the most fun ones. Attend! Hut! Had to do that. Captain America, the First Avenger. Another one that some people have problems with, mostly with the second half of the movie. I'll admit, the second half does kind of bring the film down a little bit, but the first half is perfect. That is an excellent origin story for Captain America, showing how Steve Rogers is a good-hearted soul who does want to serve his country. Very patriotic, which is something I appreciated. You don't see a whole lot of that these days. And I also like the whole look of the movie. You could definitely tell this is in the 1940s. I like period piece films that are set in that time, especially during the World War II era. And Chris Evans, once again, like the others, he's perfect. I can't picture anybody else playing him. And I like the score by Alan Silvestri. That is excellent. And Joe Johnston did an excellent job with this movie. And considering that he was a producer on Raiders of the Lost Ark, this definitely shows. It's got that adventure vibe that you saw in Indiana Jones, but with the Marvel vibe here and there. And Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull, I thought he did a pretty good job. I wasn't a huge fan of the villain, but the skull effects were fantastic. And the ending of this movie, where he finds himself in the future, that was awesome. And now we finally get to the last installment of the Phase 1. Joss Whedon's The Avengers. This movie was awesome. And I remember seeing the trailers for this. I wasn't really sure if this was going to be good or not, and that's when I finally realized that all these characters were in the same universe as far as the movies go. Watching this on opening day, good lord, I was wrong. A lot of people criticize this for its lack of plot, and the plot, yes, it's very basic, but you know what? It doesn't bother me that much. It's a very simple story, but for the movie Joss Whedon was trying to make, I thought it worked. There was a lot of great comedy in there. He's got a really good balance of the characters in here. It's got a really good pace, and the score by Alan Silvestri, once again, is awesome. I listen to that theme almost all the time. And Loki is even more awesome than he was in Thor. Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Genius. That scene where he goes, "That's my secret, I'm always angry." That is just... that scene where he throws Loki around like a rag doll. Jesus God. And the last act of this movie, it's all kinds of awesome. One of the best action sequences ever put into a comic book movie. This movie's awesome. It's definitely one of the best comic book movies of recent years. If you have not seen this, you are missing out. Oh, and two things I forgot to mention. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow is awesome. And I liked her a lot more in The Avengers than I did in Iron Man 2. Even though she was shown to be a tough girl in Iron Man 2, I felt like she didn't really have a lot of character to her. The Avengers, I thought it was improved a great deal. And of course in Winter Soldier, but we'll get to that in the Phase 2 review. And The Incredible Hulk, I thought it was okay, but nothing really special. And in fact, I'd probably say it's my least favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alright, we're all tied up here with Phase 1. Stay tuned for my review of the Phase 2 films, and till next time.